Jamahal Hill is the new UFC Golden Boy. However, there still seems to be one thing on his bucket list that he hasn't crossed off. That would be a dream fight with Jon Jones. Like every young aspiring fighter, Jamahal Hill has certain goals that he wants to achieve in his career. Now he's managed to accomplish one of his biggest goals, which is to win a UFC belt. He managed to decimate Glover Teixeira in their title bout and took home the belt he'd been dreaming about since he started in MMA.
Unanimous decision and new undisputed UFC.
Now he just has one more dream to fulfill, and that is to fight Jon Jones and truly cement his legacy in the octagon. I'm not gonna lie, it's a pretty admirable goal. Bones is widely regarded as the greatest mixed martial artist of all time.
Nice left by the champion. The UFC light heavyweight title is on the line. Big head kick.
To say he'll be a tough opponent is an understatement. However, it'll still be an exciting fight if it manages to happen. There's a chance that this super fight will have to be put on hold until Jones can work his way back down to his normal weight class. While the prospect of the fight might seem exciting to a lot of people, there's still one question that is yet to be answered, and that is why the fight won't be happening anytime soon. Now, there are two main reasons why the fight isn't going to happen for a while. We've got a few issues from both Bones' side and Hill's. See, let's start with Jon Jones. The fact is that Jones has a new goal in his mind.
Damaging bit of punch. And again, and he stacked him with that elbow. Closing in is Jones.
He's managed to dominate the light heavyweight division for the better part of a decade. Now he's set his sights on winning the heavyweight belt. If you follow Jones' social media, you'd know how beefed up he is these days. The man has managed to put on an insane amount of muscle mass. I just don't think he's going to be ready to lose all that work for one fight. He's going to try his hardest and probably end up winning the heavyweight belt. And we might just end up witnessing a whole new era of Jon Jones terrorizing that weight class. There's no doubt in my mind that Jones has the talent and skill required to dominate any division he chooses to fight in. So if things go in his favor,
and Lyoto's right arm goes limp, but his left arm is stuck up there. Wow.
I don't think he'll be too keen to drop back down to light heavyweight anytime soon. There's still another side to the story we have to explore, and that is why it's unlikely Hill will want to face off against Jones so soon. Look, as I mentioned before, Jon Jones is a hell of an opponent. If Hill does manage to make this fight happen, he'd be going into the fight with a huge chance of losing. You have to remember that up till now, Jones has never lost a round. Because Hill isn't the most experienced fighter on the block, there's no question that Jones, if he goes back to his prime state, would make short work of Hill. The fact is that Hill finally won the title after years of hard work. I just don't think that he'll be that keen on risking losing it so early.
The ref is going to come in there and intervene. Yeah, nice job by Jason Herzog to prevent any further damage for Ovince St. Preux.
He'd want to get a few title defenses before he even begins thinking about facing off against Jones. This is why I don't think that this fight is going to happen for at least a few years. By that time, there's also a chance that Jon decides to retire and hang up his gloves. With all that being said, you've probably got a huge question on your mind, like, is this fight even worth setting up? The answer is yes, very much so. See, it's one thing to see Jon Jones return to the octagon if he manages to capture the heavyweight belt and somehow decides to drop back down to light heavyweight and win that as well. He'll be making history for those weight classes. The probability of him winning these fights is pretty huge. This is why there would be a lot of money involved as well. That means, win or lose, Jones would be in for a huge ass payday. I'd say that's more than enough to motivate a man like him. The money, glory, and legend he'd earn are incomparable. At the same time, if Hill manages to become the first fighter to defeat Jon Jones, he'll become the only fighter in the history of the UFC to have done so. In case you've forgotten, almost every big fighter in the company has tried to end Jones' winning streak. Legends of the sport, such as Daniel Cormier,
Look at this, Jon, take it down, DC! Second!
and Alexander Gustafsson have tried and failed.
Bellied out to where you can just start unloading big punches right there. And this is the end that you're watching right here. Just too many big punches, too much top.
So for a fighter like Hill, who hasn't reached the height of his fame yet, to come out victorious, that would set him up to become a contender in the GOAT debate for the sport. With so much on the line, you have to wonder who'd have the best chance of winning if a fight between the two happened. Let's check out Jamahal Hill first. Hill recently managed to climb the UFC ladder and win a title. He's been through the best fighters in the division right now.
Big right hand right on the temple.
And they both landed.
Shuts him off. It just shuts him off.
Gosh.
And then he is in a very bad spot for that one.
And has managed to make it through to the end. There's no doubt in my mind that he deserved to win that title. However, when it comes to whether he can beat Jon Jones, that's when the going gets tough. See, Hill is no doubt an amazing fighter. He had to have been, because he managed to defeat Glover Teixeira so well. I mean, the guy completely wrecked one of the best brawlers of his generation. That's got to count for something, right?
At times you had to wonder what it would take to get this guy out of there. Left head kick after left head kick.
So there's a good chance that Hill might manage to get a lucky strike in. That'll help him win the bout. Now, let's move on to one of the deadliest fighters of all time. Of course, I'm talking about none other than Jon Jones. He's a different breed of fighter entirely. I could go on and on and on about this guy for years. He's proven himself time and time again by having beaten almost every major challenger in his weight class. There's no question that he's going to be the favorite if this matchup were to happen. Jones has a huge arsenal of weapons that he can use to destroy his opponents. I mean, take Daniel Cormier for example. The man destroyed him twice without breaking a sweat once.
And there's the head kick, which started it all off. Perfect placement.
He told Cormier exactly what he was going to do to him and wrecked his. He's probably the only fighter in the UFC who talks trash in the most lethal way possible and still manages to back it up every single time. I don't care if Hill is the current champion. The second Bone steps into the ring with him, the whole dynamic of the fight will be changed in an instant. It's a well-known fact that Jones is one of the most dedicated students of the game. He researches his opponents like crazy and proceeds to decimate them in the octagon. The best part is, all the years of experience he's had in fighting have allowed him to fix any holes he might have had in his game. So if Hill plans to exploit a certain thing that Jones used to be weak in, there's a big chance that that weakness will no longer be there.
Once out of there, guys.
Some ground and pound now as Popick covers up. And Jamahal Hill.
That's going to end up causing a lot of trouble for Jamahal in the octagon. If I'm being honest, I just don't see this fight ending in favor of Hill. That was the latest on a potential matchup between Jamahal Hill and Jon Jones. See you in the next video.